Okay, so welcome to all of you on the internet, figure lovers and otherwise. This is my first video figure critic. I've decided to do these because I will be getting many figures in the upcoming months, and I decided to share some of them with you. Share my appreciation, quality-wise, price-wise, and so on. Because over the years I've collected many figures, and I think I know enough about them to share my expertise with other people. So my first figure that I will be reviewing is this Elric figure from the G.E.M series, I believe, from a company called Megahouse. I don't believe I have other figures by this company. So if we start off with the box, it's a pretty average looking box. It's kind of wide for the figure itself, black with some of the writing of the series on it, and you have some transmutation circles a little spread out throughout the place, and you also have some in the box. You have some ways how he's displayed on the side, on the back, on the other side. And this is probably how I'm going to display him myself. So I'm going to unbox this puppy and I will get back to you. So before we continue with this critic, let me just point out that I got this little guy. He'd probably not like me calling him little, but I got him for 7,960 Japanese yen, shipping included. That amounts to about $103 Canadian and $102 American. So here he is. I haven't really displayed him yet. This is just to give you a glimpse of all the accessories he comes with. Comes with a different face, a different automail arm, a different torso, and the coat that you want. If you want, you can display it with them. And I'd just like to show you a bit of the stand, which I think is pretty cool. The traditional transmutation circle often associated with Edward and the Elric brothers. So, one thing I don't like, what I'm seeing so far, is this little plastic stand here. That's for the coat. I'm not a big fan of stands that hold up parts of the figure. I think it just looks a little unnatural, if you can say that. But I'm going to display him one way, and I'll get back to you guys. Okay, so now we have him out of the plastic, and fun little discovery as I was getting him out of his plastic container, I discovered, let me just show this to you, this is kind of tricky, that this little arm here actually has a little joint in it. So for display purposes, that's actually pretty cool. I'd like to point out that one thing that kind of stopped me from getting this figure at first was the face. Not this face. I like this face. I'm talking about this face here, which I find doesn't really look like the original art. Doesn't really look like the original Hiromu Arakawa art, or kind of looks like the new anime art, but I'm not a big fan of the new anime series, never watched it completely. Don't bash me for it. It's just an idea, it's just a question of personal choice. But still, it's not so bad. And I was kind of turned off by this expression as well. I don't really like Edward with his mouth closed. I like him either smiling or with a look of determination. And I'm getting it from this version here. So another cool little feature, it's actually a real little chain that he has around his belt. The details of the clothing are really cool, but what really sold me when I saw this figure was the automail arm. I think it looks awesome. You see all the wires, all the details. It even has a kind of metallic coating. This is a version with the blade. If you remember, those of you who followed the series, if you remember, this comes from when he was fighting with Cornello at the beginning of the series, both anime and manga-wise. profile view right here. Oh, and I'd like to point out too, the soles of his feet are actually really detailed. They look exactly like they did in the anime video games if you've played them. Even the pants, I mean, come on ladies, look at that behind. Male figures are few and far between, so every single time I see one that I like about a character that I either know or enjoy, I jump on it right away because I have a lot of female figures in my room, which is not a bad thing, but I'm a guy lover. I swing that way, so seeing a male figure every once in a while is a nice little treat. Other little extra feature that you can't really see here, his scar, which was made a little more obvious, I think, in the second anime than it was in the first one. So let me just display him another way, and I'll get back to you right away. I am beginning to understand why there was a little plastic stand that was given with the box, with the packaging, with the figure, because I am having the hardest time in the world getting this coat to stay on his arm. I'm not sure I got it in the joint correctly, and I think that if I let it go, the coat is going to fall apart, but it's not the reason why I bought the figure. I didn't buy it for the coat, although it's really well made. The rips are really cool, but I'm not a big fan of the paint job. It kind of looks faded and washed out, which makes sense since it's really faded around the rips, and since he ripped his coat off, it kind of makes sense that it looks like this. Still, this isn't how I'm going to display him. Cool little feature. You can see his knuckles through the fabric. That's really neat. A thing that I forgot to point out is that I love the fact that his shirt is matte, but his pants are glossy. Not something most people would care about, but I think it's a cool little attention to detail. Alright, getting down to the final part of the review. This is how I am going to display him on my stand. New automail arm. As you can see, the blade is now gone. It's been replaced by the hand on its own. I thought I just needed to remove the arm, but I had to kind of dismantle, if I can say that, the arm to get the other part on, but it's really not so bad. New shirt. This one isn't ripped. Ooh, is that a little bit of belly that I see here? Interesting little feature. Another cool thing to point out that I noticed while I was handling him, his musculature is very well defined, both in his arms and his chest. Well, arm, I should say, and his chest. Haven't really shown him to you guys from the back. Cool little details on his braid, flapping in the wind and such. I have a little teeny tiny default. You can't really see it, but I have a tiny default on his bangs. Kind of a bit of a disappointment for me. Paint job looks a little weird, but otherwise it's not so bad. So is this guy worth your money? Honestly, if you're a hardcore Fullmetal Alchemist fan, and I would like to point out that I'm a washed out Fullmetal Alchemist fan, yes, I still love the manga. It has a very big part in my otaku fandom. Not so much a big fan of it as I used to be, but it's normal. We grow up, we change. But yeah, I'm definitely glad that I got this guy. I would give this figure, the one thing that bugs me is his size. I thought it was going to be a little bigger than that, but he's a shrimp, so I guess that fits. But I would give this figure a rating of, I'd say a solid 8 out of 10. Nice detail work, nice attention to detail, both in the paint job, in the sculpting, even the base is neat. So yeah, I definitely think this guy is worth your money, and I think he's still available on AmiAmi if you're interested in getting him. So this, my friends, has been my first figure review, first of many, and if you're wondering why I decided to do this as a video, I write a lot at my job. love my job, love, love, love it, but I decided that writing isn't something that I would like to do at home. And besides, I think it's better to see how a figure is handled live instead of reading about it. So there you have it. My next figure will be probably a little later in December, after Christmas, because I'm getting it as a Christmas present. And it will be Aoi Yamada from Working, so stay tuned if you're interested in watching it. And thank you very much for tuning in.